بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله أما بعد الكبيرة الستون الواصلة في شعرها والمتفلجة والواشمة. The author says major sin number 60 الواصلة في شعرها is a woman who extends her hair. A woman who extends her hair. والمتفلجة, and a woman who sharpens her teeth, who files her teeth or who separates her teeth. والواشمة, and a woman who gives a tattoo artist who's a woman. Excuse me. It says here that the 60th major sin, he says, al-wasila fi sha'riha, is a woman who makes wasl in her hair. Whether it's a wig, whether it's weave, extensions, anything that's placed on a woman's hair which makes the hair flow longer or look or appear to be longer. He says, wal mutafallija, and a woman who does this with her teeth. The Arabs in the past, maybe not necessarily today, but the ancient Arabs, they considered a woman with gaps in her teeth to be beautiful. If a woman had gaps in her teeth, then she was considered to be gorgeous. And many of them, I can't necessarily say all of them, but many of them you read in the classical books, they didn't necessarily want a woman with perfect teeth, as we see today. But a woman with a little bit of gaps in her teeth, they consider to be what? Beautiful. Tariq. Just like they would consider a woman beautiful if she had a long neck. They consider a long neck woman to be what? Gorgeous, lovely, pleasing to the eyes. So some of the women of Jahiliyyah, they would try to separate their teeth or file their teeth. He says, wal washima, and a woman who takes a tattoo. A woman who gets a tattoo. Whether she's giving the tattoo or what? Receiving the tattoo. He says, al-wasila fi sha'riha. There are many different issues that pertain to this part of the topic or the title, such as a woman who has an illness or a sickness. Everybody understand this? Alopecia. Her hair falls out. I'm sure there are other technical illnesses and terms as well. A woman, her hair falls out, she becomes bald. Can she wear a wig to please her husband? Her husband looks at her as very unsightly. Ugh, she got a bald head. And she's no longer attractive to her husband. This is a problem in a marriage. Bismillah. There's no doubt about that, there's a problem. So is it permissible for her to buy a wig? Or she has patches missing out of her hair. So it's permissible for her to cover those patches with artificial hair. Whether it's human hair or it's not her, so it's artificial no matter what. It's artificial to her. Everybody understand this? Another issue that pertains to this is it permissible to wear human hair or horse hair or things like this? A woman says haram to wear human hair wig, but you can wear a horsehair wig. Or one may say if the hair is a different color and it's clear that it's not your hair, or if it's a different substance, if it's made from yarn or plastic or just nylon or acrylic, whatever the case may be, and it's not actually sha'r, it's not hair. Or some people may say, even if she isn't bald or she doesn't suffer from a sickness or an illness, is it permissible for her to put on a wig and her husband clearly knows that it's not her hair, but it makes her more beautiful? The hair is purple or blue, a blue wig, pink wig, blonde wig. A woman has straight hair, she wants to have curly hair. She has curly hair, she wants to have straight hair. She doesn't have long hair at all, whatever the case may be. Everybody understand this? And she puts on a wig only when she's in front of her husband. And her husband, deep down inside, clearly knows that this isn't my wife's hair. So somebody may say that there's no deception. She's not tricking anybody. Everybody understand this? All these different issues that pertain to this. Wearing things on top of the head. Is it permissible to put false hair on top of the head? Because technically the hair is not what? It's not wasl. These are different ins and outs that the fuqaha have with regards to this issue. Everybody clear on this? Is it haram or not to do this, do that? These are different furu'at, different branches from the main piece. It then says, wal mutafallija, and women who do these things with their teeth. Women who do these things with their teeth, okay? Is it permissible for a woman to get dental surgery? Is it permissible for a person to get braces, a retainer? Can you alter the natural way that Allah created your teeth? Is it permissible, or do you have to leave it as it is? Everybody understand this? What's the ruling on getting cosmetic surgery for beautification purposes, or getting cosmetic surgery for removing something that's aib, something that's a blemish, something that's a major unsightly mark? Everybody clear on this? Person has a problem with their teeth, their gums, and they get surgery to increase it or to get rid of that which is unsightly blemish. Is that permissible? Or do you have to what? Leave it as it is. It then says, wal washima, and a woman who was given a tattoo. The author does not mention the woman who takes the tattoo. He says the woman who gives the tattoo. What's meant by this? Haram to give a tattoo only for women, for men too? Because it clearly says washima. It doesn't say washim, it says washima. That's one question. The next question is it permissible to give or to get a temporary tattoo? Can your wife get a henna tattoo? It's not seeping the skin. It's not pouring into the skin. It's not ink or dye in her skin. No one is going to see it. Everybody understand this? She's not henna. Henna is one thing. It's clear proof and evidence stating that henna is permissible for a woman to use on her nails, her hands, her legs, or any other part of her body that she wants to. But now we're talking the actual henna tattoo, in which is a specific style and art that's on her arm, her back, her bosom, wherever, her stomach, wherever she wants to get a tattoo. And it's actually looking like a what? Tattoo. A tattoo, and not what? Traditional Islamic or Pakistani or African what? Henna. But actual modern day what? Tattoo. Everybody clear on this? Is it permissible to get a temporary tattoo? Or even deeper than that, you may have little kids, little girls, and you go to the supermarket and you have the little machine with the quarter, you twist, you get the little plastic thingy. All right, they may have bubble gum in there, and the bubble gum is little tattoos. Remember back in the day, and maybe some of you guys may be too young for this, you get a little temporary tattoo. So let's say you go to the market, Abu Bakr, and your son gets some gum or some toys, something like this from the machine. Can he put the tattoo on his hand? It's going to wash off eventually. Can your daughter put a tattoo on her hand and have fun? Is that permissible, or is it totally, absolutely haram to have any type of what? Washim. Everybody clear on this? These are all different what? Well, that go away from the asl. Everybody clear on this? And every time you read a book or you read a chapter of a hadith or something like this, before you get into the hadith and the text, you train your mind to do this. You train your mind what? To do this. To take the branches away from the main root. And that makes you understand the root better. And that also makes your knowledge superior, because you can apply it to different situations. You're not stuck on one piece. Khayr, shall we explain this what, Talib? Countless times. We explain this what? Khayr, inshallah. So this is this major sin number 60 that the author says. The author, he says, قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم لعن الله الواصلة والمستوصلة والواشمة والمستوشمة والنامسة والمتنمسة والمتفلجات للحسن المغيرات خلق الله متفق عليه. The first hadith that the author mentions, the Prophet ﷺ says, Allah curses the following women. Allah curses the following types of women. Number one, al-wasila wal-mustawsila is the woman who extends the hair and the woman who receives the extension. So the hairstylist and the client. The hairstylist and the what? And the client. Everybody clear on this? He says, wal washima wal mustawshima, and the woman who gives the tattoo and the woman who receives the tattoo. Wal namisa wal mutanammisa, and a woman who does nums, the giver and the receiver. And the word nums is commonly translated to mean eyebrows, plucking the eyebrows, shaving the eyebrows, trimming the eyebrows. And a woman who receives it as well. However, some of the ulama consider this term nums to be far broader than this. As we said the other night, some of them consider it to be any hair on the face is considered included in this. Everybody understand this? They say any hair that comes on a woman's face is included in this hadith. Another ulama, they say that the nums is the actual what? Eyebrow, the brow of the eye. The next type of woman that is cursed, he says, wal mutafallijati lil husn. He says there are women who separate their teeth, women who may foul their teeth, He says, listen carefully to the hadith. He says, lil husn, for beauty, for adornment. Hadith then says, al-mughayyirat khalq Allah, who change Allah's creation. Who change Allah's creation. The author says that this hadith is agreed upon. And we all know it's the narration of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. This is a very deep hadith, a very serious hadith, and must be understood properly, and it must be dissected piece by piece by piece. The first part of the hadith says, La'na Allah. Allah curses these type of women. So we automatically understand that anything that's coming later on after this, anything that comes after that is going to be what? Major sin. And then if there's any khilaf and difference of opinion among the ulama, then it's dangerous. It's what? It's dangerous. Some of the ulama say you can wear a wig. Some say can't. I'm not going to wear the wig because of the sheer fact that it's what? These scholars say that it could be a curse. And they say it may be permissible, just makruh. Everybody understand this? You having, you playing around with a plastic knife or rubber knife, flipping it and tossing it and practicing with it is not the same as you playing around with a live knife, an actual sharp blade. Everybody understand this? It's a difference. You can play around with a toy knife, spin it around, have fun. But you have an actual piece of steel that you're tossing. You may be able to toss it, and you may be able to play with it, but the smallest piece of heedlessness or carelessness will lead to some type of what? Damage or injury. You may drop it on the floor, the sofa, your car, let alone your skin. Everybody understand this? So if you're going to play with it, that's okay, but you have to be what now? Very serious now. It's not a joke. It's not the same as playing with a what? A wooden knife. It's a difference. So the ulama of Islam differing on something being mandatory or not, this and that's one thing. But now these ulama are saying that it's a what? Major sin. So you're not even, as a layman Muslim, you're not even going to what? You're not even going to play around with it. And it's a very important qaida in the deen that can save you from many, many problems when it comes to fatwas. Everybody clear on this? That's the first benefit. Now, after this is, pay close attention, Salih, to how the hadith mentions the doer and the giver, or the receiver. The giver and the receiver. The supplier and the demander. Everybody understand this? And this is teaching us something when it comes to doing things with the kuffar. Giving things to the kuffar, selling things to the kuffar. And the hadith does not just curse the what? The one who gets the tattoo. But also curses the giver. Everybody understand this? So if it's haram for you to eat swine, why would you sell it to somebody else? Are clear on this? If it's haram for you to watch this or listen to this, why would you what? Sell it to non-Muslims. Everybody understand this? So this is a very important concept that is not just about the person, but it's about both. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ says, La'ana Allahu akila riba wa mukilahu. He says, Allah curses he who eats riba and he who does what? Gives it as food. In other words, if you have riba that you earn, you're cursed. And if you give it to your child, you're cursed. And those who eat it from your children who are of age and they know about it, they're also cursed. Everybody clear on this? Those who eat and those who serve it. Everybody clear on this? This is a tremendous Islamic principle here. Everybody understand this? The supplier and the demander. Khairan inshallah. It then says, lil husn. He says, women who do these things for beauty. Does this mean if a woman gets a tattoo or hair extension or eyebrows and it's not done for beauty, that it's okay? Is this something qaydun maqsood bihi? Is this something that is intended, or is it something that's what? La mafhuma lahu. Everybody understand this? What the ulama, they say, la mafhuma lahu. Something that is not intended. In other words, when the Prophet ﷺ said, أعطيت خمسا لم يعطهن أحد من الناس أو أحد قبلي. He says, لم يعطهن نبي قبلي. أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. Hadith Jabir. He says, I've been given 5 things that no other prophet was given before me. Does this hadith mean that he's only been given 5 things? Or he just mentioned 5 things and it's not restricted to 5? Everybody clear on this? And there are other texts and examples as well. Those, khair. I'm going to get into too much usul right now. There's not enough time. What's important is the hadith says these women who do these things for beauty are cursed. So does one understand if they don't do them for beauty, then they're not cursed? Or is it something that the Prophet ﷺ just mentioned? In most cases, that's what women do these things, what? For. Everybody clear on this? It then says, Al-Mughayyirat khalq Allah. He says, those who change Allah's creation. And this is pinnacle here. This is the catalyst part of the hadith. Whereas this shows you the illah, the reasoning behind the legislation, or the reason behind the legislation. These women are cursed because they are attempting to change Allah's khalq. Everybody got this? Or someone may say that's كذلك لا يراد. That's not maqsood. But this is what they're doing. And لا ينحصر في هذا. انتبه معي. They say al-mughayyirat khalq Allah, those who change Allah's creation. When they do these acts, they're changing Allah's creation. And these acts are haram and major sins because the Prophet said them. And it's not necessarily haram and a major sin to do any type of changing to Allah's creation, such as trimming your hair. Allah created you with hair that grows. You cut it, you have done what? Change what? Allah's creation. Everybody understand this? You trim your fingernails, your finger toes, or your toenails. That's what? Changing Allah's creation. Everybody understand this? So that's an issue in itself. This part of the hadith, according to those ulama, clearly states that this is the reason why these acts are haram, is because it is altering the law's what? Khalq. Now getting a tattoo, obviously, especially during those days, and even to this day, many cases, is almost permanent. In the time of the Prophet ﷺ, I don't think they had modern means of removing a tattoo. Today, they do. Very costly, maybe very painful, and maybe very risky, especially depending on what type of tattoo you get. Sometimes they can cover up a tattoo or they can remove it. But if you get an entire sleeve, everybody understand this? Or you get a detailed tattoo, illustration that's extremely detailed, full of colors, it may not be possible to do what, Tariq? To remove it. Everybody clear on this? So that's clearly changing what? Allah's creation. Separating your teeth, filing your teeth is clearly changing Allah's creation. The enamel and stuff won't what? It's not going to go back. Everybody understand this? Everybody clear on this or not? Trimming the eyebrows as well, most cases it doesn't what? Doesn't come back. Everybody understand this? But extending the hair, does that necessarily what? Change Allah's creation. She puts on a wig and she takes off the wig. Everybody clear on this or not? I understand this, and this is why we talk about this issue, because it pertains to other issues that some ulama say are haram, and other ulama say no, it's not haram, because those ulama they say is what? Changing the laws, creation. Everybody clear on this? Such as certain types of hair dye, or wearing high heel shoes. Somebody may say that's changing the laws, creation. You're trying to be taller than what you actually are. So what is the defining line between what you can and cannot do of beauty and of adornment? Everybody understand this? Everybody clear on this or not? The general rule is that if you get some type of surgery or some type of altering or alternation to your body that's permanent and irreversible, then that's falling into what? Change the law's creation. If it's something that's an unsightly defect, that's a different story. Or if it's something that's not permanent but it's temporary, that's what? Different story. Everybody understand this? Many, many different issues. Can a woman take pills for weight loss or to gain weight? Can she take pills to make her breast bigger or her behind bigger? Especially in 2017, people, they do this. Is that permissible? Whereas it's clearly what? Changing the creation of Allah. Allah didn't make you like that. He didn't make you that type of body. Everybody understand this? So therefore, this part or this concept, it can be an issue of ijtihad on what is and what isn't what? Haram. Especially in the modern day in which there are all different types of cosmetic issues, as we just mentioned. Things that did not happen in the past and did not exist and were unheard of and unthought of what? In the what? In the past. Let alone the Prophet's time. 50 years ago, it was unheard of. 100 years ago, it was unheard of. Before the 60s, this thing was totally what? Unheard of. Or if it was heard of, it was extremely taboo. And in 2017, it's become what? Normal. You got to check and ask. Is that your hair? Is that your eye color? Can you wear contacts? Everybody understand this? You have breast implants. This is a reality. Even among Muslims. Even among what? Among Muslims. Khairan inshallah. So anything that's considered changing the law's creation is a major sin and it's cursed. Whether it's, let's say, shaving the beard. Some may say shaving the beard is changing the law's creation. And the list goes on. Everybody understand this? This concept we take from this hadith is a major concept here. Brainwashing people is also what? Changing the law's creation. Everybody understand this? You've made the mind, which was created to be elastic, stretchy, spongy, and then you turn someone's mind into a rock. You've brainwashed them to be a total blind follower, a sheep, a moose, that just walk in a straight file and listen to every single thing I say. You've changed that person's brain. The brain Allah made dynamic. Everybody understand this? He made the what? Dynamic. To memorize, to look, to think, to ponder, to feel, and to experience emotions. And you've turned a person into a what? A zombie for your ideology. That's no doubt changing what? The creation of law, the television. Somebody may say it's haram to watch television because television does what? Changes the creation of Allah. There's no doubt about that. I'm not saying the television is haram, but I'm saying the concept of brainwashing and the concept of the propaganda machine. I understand this? As they said during the Cold War. Rather, they said this before the Cold War. It's stated in the World War II. I won't say who said it. There's no point in saying who said it. He says we have the what? He says we have the strongest missile and rocket to any world power. And this person was a propaganda minister. He was the minister of propaganda of a country, of a superpower. He says we have it, control of it now. The control over the people's minds to what they see in the newspapers and what they hear on the radios. There was no TV back then. Khairan, inshallah. There may have been a few televisions, but it wasn't nothing like what? The 50s and the 60s and the 70s, which is in every single home. Let alone you're walking around with a mini television in your pocket 24 hours a day. Sleep with your phone, take a shower with your phone, go to it in the bathroom, lock the door, passcode, what? Safraz? On the phone, right, Talib? Khairan, inshallah. Moving forward. He then says, وَقَالَ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ. The Prophet ﷺ, he also said, and before we move forward, we see here Abu Bakr is that one can criticize the author, whereas he said, Al-wasila fi sha'riha, wal-mutafallija, wal-washima, wa-nahwaha, wa-nahwuhunna. He mentioned 3 types of women, and in the hadith there are, what? Others. So he could have, someone may say this. طيب. Moving forward. وقال صلى الله عليه وسلم ثمن الكلب والدم حرام وكسب البغي ولعن الواشمة والمستوشمة وأكل الربا وموكله ولعن المصورين متفق عليه. The Prophet also said, profit from dogs, profit from blood, and profit from prostitution are all haram. They're all unlawful. And the Messenger of Allah, he cursed the woman who gives the tattoo, the one who receives it. He who eats riba and he who gives it. And he also cursed the musawwirin, the people who make taswir, the image makers, the idol makers, the picture makers. And this hadith, the author says, muttafaqun alayh, is also agreed upon. So it tells us, once again, like the previous hadith, about a woman who gets a tattoo. Naam. And also mentioned other things which are haram, such as, he says, thamanul kalb. He says, the profit from dogs. In other words, if you have a kennel or a pet shop, something like this, and you sell dogs, or you rent dogs, you may rent out a dog, a hunting dog, or a poodle for a fashion show, an award show. This is a reality. People may rent jewelry, they rent cars, they rent tuxedos, they may also may what, Tariq? They may rent a dog. Everybody says an expensive, fancy dog. You go to the party like, this is my dog. I have all of this money, I take care of the dog, and the dog is what? Rented. It's rented, And this is not just for humor, it's not far-fetched. Wallahi, on the day to Eid, we were in Brooklyn, New York City. We walked into a restaurant, and we came across a station to put your dog in if you have errands to run, okay? In which you use your credit card, and it's air-conditioned, and it says perfect temperature, and you have a certain amount of time that you leave your dog in safe and sound. A metal box outside, you see the glass, no one can harm your dog. Let's say I got to go somewhere, but I can't take my dog. So let me put my dog in, take out my credit card, put it in the machine, and come back in 3 hours. This is a reality. The concept of the culture of the dog. A dog is a man's best friend. The Americans, the people in other countries as well, we're talking our country, who love dogs, so nearly worship dogs, who treat dogs better than human beings. It's not far-fetched for them to do what? To rent out a dog. Right or wrong, Saleh? It's not far-fetched. It's not a joke. It's a reality. Okay? If you don't believe me, you can go to Brooklyn. You can see it yourself. I don't know if they have them in Queens yet. You just imagine that. A few years back, it started with the bicycles. You can take a bicycle from one part and go to the next. Now it's what? Dogs. A dog depot. Allahu Akbar. Moving forward, he says, Thamanul Kelb, the profit of a dog, to rent or to buy a dog. Now one may ask a question, if it's haram to sell a dog or to buy a dog, what about hunting dogs? Or dogs that are used for sheep and goat? Or dogs that are used for security? How are we to obtain this type of dog? Now, anyone who knows anything about dogs, he knows that dogs can become very, very costly, especially if the pedigree is well known. It's of a top high breed, let alone it's just a specific type of dog, which is a very intelligent, smart, loyal dog. Not like a mutt in the street. So if it's haram to buy a dog or to sell a dog, and I do have a farm, or I do live in a property that has to be guarded by dogs, or I do have livestock, where do I obtain this dog from? Everybody clear on this or not? Some of the ulama, they say that you ought to just get the dog however you can get it. No, this is what they say. تُحَصِّلُهُ تَحْصِيلًا. And they say, just get it somehow. Then obviously, this is important because it shows us the effect of culture upon the fatwa. In the Eastern countries, the Middle Eastern countries, the worship of dogs and the love of dogs, I don't think it's nowhere near that of the Western countries. Whether it's Western Europe, Eastern Europe, or America, Canada, whatever the case. It's a difference. No one's going to deny that. There are dogs there, but it's not the same. It's not what? It's not the same. For whatever reason, we're not going to get into that right now, Safras. We're not getting into that right now. What's important is somebody from a country in which a dog is totally looked down upon. He can say that statement easily. You just get it. But somebody comes from Germany or someone comes from New York City, he's going to say, I have a farm, I have livestock, I have to get a top-notch dog, security dog that's been trained, that's been bred, that's been fed well, with a well-known lineage to look after my property, and that's not a dog I can just, bump into it on the street. Let me get the dog. That'd be disastrous to my wealth and to my property if the dog is stupid, if the dog has a defect with his heart. Everybody understand this? A German Shepherd. Everybody clear on this? A Bulldog. Everybody understand this? Rottweiler. Everybody understand this? A Bull Mastiff. Mathalan. Dalmatian. Everybody understand this? Back in the day, the firefighters had Dalmatians with them. You know why they had Dalmatians, Tariq? What about you, Tariq? Anybody know why the firefighters used to have Dalmatians with them?
Look good.
No, it's deeper than that. Did the dogs put out fires? No, that's Hollywood. A Dalmatian is not a strong dog.
Is that the one with the long ears?
It has long ears, but it's speckles of the black spots or brown spots. Some Dalmatians are tricolored as well. Tell you, bicolor and tricolor Dalmatians. So let's stick with the bicolor ones, White background, black spots. That's a Hollywood shake. See about the mind control. Dalmatian can't drag a big human being from the second floor. Other dogs cannot. Dalmatian. The Dalmatians were kept to keep the horses up, because back in the day, before modern means of transportation, there were no fire trucks. There were horses that bore carriages with them, with water and with other supplies, ladders and axes. So the Dalmatians' job was to run and to keep the horses what? Up to speed. And also they would protect the horses from the leg, from when they stopped, from mutt dogs biting the horses. And that's why they used the what? The Dalmatian. Khair, inshallah. That's enough of Dalmatians right now. Tell you. What's important is that's what some of the ulama say. And others, they say, knowledge is what? Power. For everyone. Moving forward. Some of the ulama, they say that if you have a dog for a permissible reason, or if there's a legislative reason, a legitimate reason for you to have a dog, then it becomes permissible to purchase one. It becomes what? Permissible to buy one, only for something that's legitimate. And somebody may also build off of that and say, it's also permissible for me to sell dogs for people that have legitimate reasons. Then just stop and think about that now. I have a business for Muslims who have farms or Muslims who have garages or whatever it is, a legitimate legislative reason to have a dog for. Nah? One may say it's necessary to have dogs in the airport now. They may say it's durura. It's a durura, it's a necessity. There are criminals, there are people who bring explosives, bombs, all types of things in the airport. We have to have dogs. Everybody understand this? So if that fatwa is given, someone qualified, then it proves that it's permissible for that country to do what? Buy dogs. So what if a Muslim said, I myself want to make a business for selling dogs to airports and the people with the permissible reasons to have the dogs? Is that haram or is it permissible? Everybody understand? From one thing we learn what? Or we know? We branch off. Khairan, inshallah. Moving forward, it then says, what dem? And the cost of blood. We benefit from this hadith. It's haram to buy or to sell what? Blood. Donation, sadaqah, different story. But the profit of the blood will be what? Unlawful. Why would somebody buy blood, Tariq? And how do you buy blood?
I'm not a buy blood, but buy blood to pass the blood test.
Allahu Akbar. It's clever. Tayyib, someone buys blood to do what?
Pass the drug test.
Or STD screening, HIV test, or whatever the case may be. Somehow, some way. Perhaps methadone. Or maybe even deeper than that. That which is known as the black market. Someone needs a kidney or a liver. Or someone wants to buy a child. Or a certain animal. You have an illegal animal, an illegal pet. You have a lion in your house. Some people have this. This is real. I knew somebody from the Bronx.
Jamaica. We live in Jamaica.
You never know. You may have anyway, we'll leave the story off from the Bronx. He had a big cat in his house. He was mauled later on, but that's a different story. What's important is he may need some blood for the animal. And the only way he can obtain it is through cash. Everybody understand this? Khair, inshallah. Move forward. It then says, وَكَسْبُ الْبَغِي, and the profit of prostitution. It's haram. A woman who's a prostitute or a man who's a prostitute is 2017. A man may be a prostitute as well. The money that he makes is what? Totally unlawful. It's impermissible for him to benefit from that wealth. And then it goes on to say, the tattoo giver and the tattoo receiver, he who eats riba, he who gives it to eat, and all different forms and fashions of that riba. Whether it's a bank, whether it's accountant, whether it's this, whatever involves you eating riba or you giving it to others to eat, is considered to be cursed. It's cursed. Why the other that's a major sin. He then says, وَلَعْنَ الْمُصَوِّرِينَ, and the people who make taswir, we've explained in detail what's meant by taswir. Is it taking a picture on your phone, taking a selfie, taking a video, recording a lesson? Is that what's meant by the musawwirin or not? And this hadith is agreed upon by Al-Bukhari and Muslim. That's the end of the chapter. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surely knows best.